So today we are going to be, sorry for the wind, let me get this on. So today we are going to be trying to install I don't even know where I put that switch. We're trying to install a electronic, pretty much a switch that turns off all of the electronic stability control, all ESP. So I have a safety switch here. Basically how the safety switch works is you flip up this cover and then you're allowed to flip the switch, and then when you want to turn it off, you can just flip the cover down, or you can manually flip the switch down. But this cover keeps it around from like getting hit and accidentally turning on the switch. So this button right here is the stock traction control button. It doesn't work, and honestly this doesn't turn off everything. I wanted to get rid of this because sometimes off-roading you do need just to pretty much just lay the power down, and this button doesn't really do it. And also I kind of want to do donuts sometimes, so this button will make this pretty much a fun button. Yeah, so this will only be used in special occasions. So I want to mount it up. See on the, give you guys a point of reference. Here's the steering wheel, and then back here I want to put it right here. So it'll look something like that, and that's a good place. I was thinking about putting it over here, but I also want to put my eventually I get lockers. I want to put on my compressor lockers, so I have 1, 2, 3 switches already for that, and then maybe 1 or 2 more switches can fit in here. So I don't know what those will be, but this button will be on this side. It's kind of out of the way, and then yeah, so let me go ahead and take off this little panel and then see what I have to do. Here it is. This is where I want to mount it up, right here. So I'm actually going to disassemble the switch so I can get a better idea how to mount things. So I have this piece off. It just comes off with this little nut, and there's the rest of the switch. So this is going to go somewhere right here, pretty much centered up. So what I'm going to do is, so I got this scrap piece of tin, and what I'm going to do is kind of cut out a kind of a square that will fit right up in here, and it'll make it look a lot better. And so I'll kind of fill in this gap right here, and then I'll have some screws that screw this piece into here. I want to nutsert this piece so I can just unscrew it really fast, and then I think I'll just paint this Ringo black maybe, and then this piece will just go on top like that, and then it'll just be fastened using this nut for the switch, if that makes any sense. But if it doesn't make any sense, then you guys just keep watching the video, and then I'll show you guys how exactly I do it. So I have a piece of cardstock here, but you can use cardboard or paper or any kind of material. What I'm going to do is kind of trace this shape out onto this piece of paper, and then I can just mess with this instead of cut up a bunch of pieces of tin and then mess all these pieces up. So I'll just use this to brainstorm and kind of get a better idea of what I'm actually going to do. And I have a Sharpie here and some safety scissors, and I'll get it going. This is what I came up with. Let me show you guys how it fits. It fits really, really nice. So as you guys can see, has even spacing all around the top. If you're doing this yourself, this top piece right here kind of has an upward curve, and so yeah, so you got to account for that. I made sure these two, this is a square angle, so this is 90 degrees right here, so these two sides are perpendicular, and then it kind of follows really nice. And I'll show you guys why I made it so long. The switch isn't that big, but I made it extra long because if you can look on the back side, I kind of want to put the screws here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and these already made holes right here. And then so yeah, so that's kind of how it fits. I'll show you guys the length. See right there, kind of the width right there. So the hole should line up for my screws to fasten this piece, which will be made of tin, onto this actual piece of plastic. So I'm going to go ahead and try to trace this out onto the tin and duplicate this piece. Alright, so a little bit of dremeling and some tin snips later, I have this piece right here. I'm going to check the fit. It's pretty good. There's just some rough edges, and yeah, so I just got to kind of clean up the edges. So I have two files, one that's pretty coarse, pretty rough, and then one that's a pretty fine, smooth file. So I'm just going to go over the edges and then make sure these two edges are square, and you know, clean it up. Alright, so all the edges are really smooth to the touch. So now, next thing I gotta do is figure out where to drill the holes in the four corners, so I can mount this up to the actual piece of the trim right here. Alright, since I've already located where the holes go by putting the plates together, I can just go ahead and take this off and then get my Christmas tree bit and make a size big enough for this this riv nut. Perfect. That's like pretty much the exact fit I want for this. Yeah. I just got this riv nut riveter from Harbor Freight. It was like $20-something. So hopefully it kind of stands up towards the test of time. I already did one of them just kind of to test it out because I've never used one of these before. So you kind of just thread it on like that. Put it into the hole like that. And then make sure it's square. And then just squeeze. And then you can unscrew it. And then there it is. So now you just do that for the rest of them. Alright, so now I have all four rib nuts in there. And they aren't moving at all. So what I need to do now is get my plate and see if the holes line up good. And they line up fairly well. I don't know if you guys can see, but there are a little bit of rough edges around these riv nuts, so I'm just going to go ahead and get my file or some sandpaper to sand those down so we have a nice clearance fit right here. So I figured out where I wanted my hole to be for my switch, or for my switch to go through, and then I'm just going to go ahead and drill this out and get it to fit. Alright, so I have it all installed, and this is pretty much the look of it. Kind of works just like that. So right here it fits pretty well. Everything is pretty flush. It mounts up pretty well. I thought that, let's see if I can, that this would interfere back here. See those metal pieces right here? It'd get in the way, but it just clears it. I had to bend the prongs up on the switch, but that shouldn't be a problem because I could just put in those connectors right up top and at the bottom. So let me give you guys a second look of what this looks like. I have the switch right here, and all I gotta do is just, this is a little loose, but I just gotta tighten up this nut right here. And the size of rib nut I used was 8/32, and these screw lengths are 8/32 by 1/2. And I'm also going to paint this panel black, maybe wrinkle black or just regular matte black. So I'm trying to get this wiring all sorted out and figured out. I lifted up the console, and where the wires are is pretty much right under here. And how you get this up is there's 2 screws right here and then on the opposite side, and then all this kind of lifts up. But I'm having a hard time accessing it because all this just kind of flops back down, and this is about as high as I can get it. I would just try to lift the whole center portion up, but I can't take off this transfer case shift knob. People just said to pull on it, but a little frightened, so I'm not going to mess with that. So I figured out, why not just wire it in from here, which is the harness for the ABS and all that stuff right here. And all you do, it's connected right here next to the master cylinder, and you have to lift up this little safety tab and then pull it out. And it's supposed to be a purple and light blue wire, which is somewhere right here. And what I could do from here is just make a few connectors right here and extend this wire out, and then put it through the firewall, come through the firewall, and then it'll be pretty much right here, right where I need it, so I don't have to mess with wiring it all the way down and up through here. It'll be much simpler. And what I can do is just kind of take off this panel right here and the dash, and it'll be really easy to wire in that switch. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this wire right here. It's purple and light blue, and what should happen is, if you cut this wire, then all your lights will show up on your dashboard. Your 3 different lights will come up, and hopefully that works. If not, then I screwed myself, but hopefully I can get this right. So I think I'm gonna start off by taking off these little zip ties so I can get a little bit more room in here. Alright, here's a moment of truth. I just cut that wire, and hopefully perfect. So now you'll see the ABS light, the traction button, or the traction light, and the traction control off symbols all light up on the dash. So I cut the correct wire. Now it's time to wire in an extension and wire it up to the switch. Alright, so to gain a little bit more room, I just disconnected it from the master cylinder here, the harness from the master cylinder. There's a safety tab you gotta pull back. I already did that. There you go, that comes off, and then I'll show you guys how to, so you kind of scoop it and you pull up, and you'll feel a click, and you can just pull it out. And now just kind of guide all this through the top. There we go. Now I have some room to work with. So I attached the female and a male connector on each, and what I'm going to do is I have 2 extended wires here. They're 14 gauge in black, doesn't really matter what the color is, but I've also put a male and female connector on these, so I can just plug them up to here. And then the reason why I did 1 male and 1 female here is if I wanted to just, if I didn't want the switch to be around anymore, I could easily disconnect these extended wires, and then just re-plug in the harness to the factory wiring, so it's pretty much just like that. So the purple just kind of continues through. So now I'm going to go ahead and push these through the firewall. There is a grommet right there that I'm going to use, and yeah, I have everything reconnected, and I went ahead and pushed it through the firewall and up through the dash, and I wired it up to my switch. So now I just have the two leads connected together, and what should happen is when the switch is switched to on, it'll connect these two and it'll act like the power, it's literally just one unit. So the wire will connect all the way through, and then the power will go to the ABS and all that stuff. But when the switch is flipped to off, then it'll cause a break in the line, and it should turn off the ABS and all of the ESP. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it when it's on and see if any lights come on. So if the switch is turned to on, there should be no lights on. It should be pretty much ESP is all on. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so ABS, yeah, so they all should go away. Let's see, there's that trash can one, go away. Alright, so they're all gone, so that means everything is off. My e-brake is up, so let me put that down. Okay, so there you go. So there are no lights on the dash. So now I should be able to flip the switch to off, and then all the lights will come on. There it is. So there you go. 1, 2. Those are the lights that come on, and that's pretty much how it works. But if you switch it back to on, it won't come back on. You have to restart the car. You have to turn on the car on, turn it off, and then turn it on again to get those lights to go back off. So there it is. So here's just a closer look of the wiring. You can see it in the yellow. I just loomed it in electrical tape just to protect it and kind of keep it neat. And that's where it goes to the firewall right there. So there it is, all buttoned up. I'm going to take this plate off and hit it with some wrinkle black. I just went to AutoZone, got some of this, and yeah, so go ahead and take the key out and then take this piece off. So when you take that piece off, the wire is kind of stuck right there, and all you gotta do is just disconnect them. And now you can take this whole trim piece out. For the switch portion, you may see that it's all the way down. So if I use the proper way to use a safety switch, this means it's always off. But for the ESP, it needs to be always on. So what I did was flip around the switch and flip around the safety cover, and now it's able to close. There's a little notch in this piece, this black piece for the safety switch, that makes sure it's squared up and down. I went ahead and grinded it down with my Dremel tool so it could fit in any orientation if I wanted it. I could turn it this way or that way, and I pretty much just tightened it up like that. And then this nut right here is what keeps everything so tight. So if you tighten it down, this safety switch isn't going to rotate or move around on you. And how the switch stays in place is, you see these little plastic ridges right here? There's a top tab for the LED light that I'm not going to use, but it's there. So what I did was I cut out those ridges to form pretty much a kind of a hole for that tab to sit in. Now the switch won't rotate at all. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. And now all I gotta do is to disassemble it is to take off this nut and then take off these Allen screws, and then the plate will come off. Alright, so we're ready for final assembly. So everything is all finished up. I got this finished in a wrinkle black. The back side didn't finish as well. Hopefully you guys can see. But the front finished up really, really nice. So go ahead and place the plate on your trim panel. Line up the holes. I'm going to go ahead and start up these Allen screws. Now I get the switch. and put it in position. And then go ahead and get your safety switch cover. I went ahead and painted ESP on it. So it's a nice little touch. It didn't come out as clean as I wanted it to, but I mean, it's good enough. It's not a show car. And then go ahead and put that locking nut on. Make sure it's square. And then tighten down this nut. So it blends in pretty well. Looks really good. Nice clean finish. It's time to connect the two leads. And then go ahead and close up and attach the trim.